Imagine a government's promise to protect women quietly erased, not by debate, but by a line of code. A landmark treaty, meant to guarantee women's health care, is translated for national law. The original says the state shall ensure access, a binding obligation. But the AI translation changes it. The state should consider providing access. The promise becomes a suggestion. The shield becomes paper. This isn't fiction. It's a real risk in our data-driven world. We trust AI with critical tasks, including translating legal documents that protect human rights. But technology isn't neutral. AI is built on data shaped by human biases, often male by default. When AI learns language, it absorbs patterns. Authority and obligation are linked to male-dominated fields, while language about women is often softer, less powerful. This invisible bias can have devastating effects when AI interprets the very words meant to protect us. The shift from a binding commitment to a weak recommendation isn't just a technical error. It's a political act with real-world victims. It threatens decades of progress in gender equality. For women everywhere, understanding this risk is essential. We must pull back the curtain on these technologies and ask hard questions before our rights are silently coded away. The future of women's rights depends on it. To grasp the danger, we must understand the power of a treaty. International treaties are binding agreements, global contracts that hold countries accountable. For women, these treaties have been revolutionary, forcing change where domestic laws failed. Documents like the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women have become legal shields. Their strength lies in precise language. Every word is chosen for clarity and enforceability. When a treaty says a state shall act, it creates a duty. This gives women a legal basis to demand action and hold leaders accountable. But most of the world doesn't operate in English or French. Treaties must be translated to have real impact. If translation weakens the language, it weakens the right. The shield dissolves, and the promise never reaches the women who need it most. Accurate translation is not a detail. It's the foundation of protection. Let's see how this plays out. The original treaty clause. State parties shall ensure all women have timely, affordable access to reproductive health care. Shall ensure is a command, a legal obligation. A woman denied care could use this as a basis for legal challenge. But run through AI translation, it becomes, state parties should consider providing access. Should consider turns a right into a suggestion. Now, a government can claim it considered the issue and move on. The legal basis for demanding care vanishes. The AI hasn't just translated words, it's erased a right. This isn't a minor error, it's a catastrophic loss of protection. Why do these errors happen? AI translators don't understand language like humans. They use neural networks trained on billions of sentences, learning patterns and probabilities. For everyday phrases, this works well. But legal language is different. Shall ensure has a specific legal meaning, but AI often replaces it with should, because that's more common in its training data. The AI doesn't grasp that this change destroys legal power. The gender data gap in technology means women's rights language is rare in the data. The machine isn't malicious, it's ignorant, reflecting the biases and gaps in its training. The result? A digital echo of the world's historic failure to protect women's rights. A single word change, shall to should, may seem minor, but it creates a massive gap in protection. Legally, a right becomes a vague hope. Activists and lawyers lose their main tool to hold governments accountable. Without shall, there's no requirement to act. For a rural woman needing care, a weak law means a closed clinic and no recourse. The change undermines advocacy. Strong language empowers, weak language silences. Governments can now dismiss demands as mere requests, not rights. Systemic discrimination is reinforced by technology. The most vulnerable, indigenous women, Women with disabilities, women in poverty, are hit hardest. They rely on strong laws for basic protection. When AI erodes that foundation, those with the least power suffer most. The small word change creates a chasm, not a crack. The risk is real, and the consequences are profound. Legal experts and women's rights advocates are sounding the alarm. In law, precision is everything. Dr. Iris Sinclair, international law and tech specialist, says legal language is a surgical instrument. Every term is chosen for a reason. Replacing shall with should is like swapping a scalpel for a butter knife. The result is disaster. Tech developers may accept 98% accuracy, but in law, the 2% error can erase a right. We can't outsource this nuance to machines without rigorous human oversight. Fatima Iqbal, a global women's rights advisor, says activists fight for every word in a treaty because governments exploit ambiguity. Seeing hard-won language erased by an algorithm is terrifying, a rollback of feminist progress. The danger is magnified by the process's opacity. When politicians weaken laws, it's public. When AI does it, it's silent and technical. By the time the error is found, the damage is done. This lack of transparency threatens democratic accountability. Women's rights are often the first to be bargained away. We must demand clarity and oversight before it's too late. This isn't just a technical issue, it's a feminist one. Technology is being built on data from a male-dominated past, often without women at the table. The result? Systems that ignore or undermine women's needs and rights. We can't be passive bystanders in this revolution. The myth of neutral technology is dangerous. Every algorithm has a worldview. We must demand a seat at the table where these systems are created and governed. This means women lawyers reviewing translations, politicians questioning software choices, and communities demanding transparency. Empowerment now requires technological literacy, knowing how these systems work and where they fail. We must challenge the idea of neutrality and insist on accountability. By demanding inclusion and oversight, we ensure progress serves everyone, not just the default male. The fight for rights has moved to a new front, and we must engage. The solution isn't to abandon technology, but to master it. First, demand transparency. Governments and corporations must disclose what AI systems they use and their limitations. Second, insist on human expertise. AI should only draft, not finalize, legal translations. Experts must review every word. Third, advocate for inclusion. Close the gender data gap by involving women in tech design and oversight. Support women in STEM and create spaces where diverse voices shape technology. Finally, become critical consumers and vocal advocates. Ask questions, demand safeguards, and stay informed. Talk to your community and leaders about these issues. The silent erosion of rights is a real threat, but not inevitable. By being vigilant and championing a human-first approach, we can protect our hard-won promises. Our rights must never be lost in translation.